motion, we approve the agenda.
Second.
Further discussion? Trustee Schuler? Trustee Pewitt?
Aye.
Trustee Castillo?
Aye.
Trustee Rob?
Aye.
Trustee Brett?
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0.
1.3, public comment for closed session items. This opportunity is provided per government code to allow public to comment. Is there anyone from the public that would like to make a comment? Nope, seeing none, we are into closed session. In open session. First up is the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
3.2, report on closed session agenda items.
The board unanimously approved, the personnel documentation for May of 2025.
And that would mean I give an announcement. So we are hiring a new fourth grade teacher for the 25-26 school year. Her name is Melina Smurl, and she comes with 12 years experience, and we're excited for her to join our Cayucas team.
Alrighty, 4.1 is correspondence.
So there are two pieces of correspondence on the agenda tonight. The first one is the Cayugas second interim letter, which validates the budgetary projections for the school district of having a positive certification. Board President Friend did point out that there is a reference to our classified staff members here being unionized, so we'll make sure that they correct that in the future letters. So it really should have our teachers separately negotiated. Although we are settled for salary and health benefits for this year, it is still noted in a way that's not accurate.
Right.
So we will definitely fix that. And then the second piece of correspondence is regarding some federal and state issues around what's called Title IX. And it really is the federal communication around looking at programs, and then the state of California Department of Ed response to that. So at this time, school districts have been advised legally to really let the federal and state government fight it out. And we will do our best to serve our kids every single day to keep them safe and make them feel loved and accepted, and make sure they're learning and growing. So this is really the correspondence so that you have representation of what's happening around that, and that the state of California has responded within the timeline.
All right, 4.2, public comment. At this point in the agenda, the board welcomes comments on matters of district interest. There's lots of you out there. Any of you here to make public comment tonight? Nope, moving on. Okay. 5.1, regular meeting minutes of April 9th, 2025.
Staff recommends approval of the regular meeting minutes of April 9th, 2025.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll second.
Aye.
Trustee Castillo?
Aye.
Trustee Rob?
Aye.
Trustee Brett?
Aye.
And Trustee Schuler?
Okay, presentations, Associated Student Body.
So tonight we have two of our student leaders to present tonight. We have sixth grade student Lillian Alderette and eighth grade student Rhea Bolander. So if you guys could please approach the podium, we are looking forward to hearing your presentation.
Oh, cool. Okay. Oh, there's two. Okay. Okay. Hi, I'm Rhea.
Hi, I'm Lillian.
Okay. ASB is finishing the year strong. We just held our final pep rally in which we honored our fantastic elementary and middle school track teams. Our rally featured some fun games and challenges for each grade to participate in. We also wrote a skit on addressing bullying on the blacktop. I got to borrow the PTA's Falcon mascot costume and really got the crowd pumped.
Our spring dance was a huge success. We held Hawaiian luau with barbecue. Mr. Way and Miss Hell grilled burgers and students were treated to tropical drinks and smoothies. The gym was transformed into a lush tropical paradise, and Mr. Pewitt was a phenomenal DJ. The middle school loved it.
Our current balance after the final dance is just over $1,000. These funds were raised by selling concessions at the Alice in Wonderland our middle school movie night and selling dance tickets. This will allow for next year's ASB to hold another retreat prior to school starting. The new ASB will meet on campus to lay out plans for 2025-2026 school year and plan the opening pep rally.
And the campaigning for these roles in ASB has already begun. Current 4th through 7th graders are already campaigning on campus this week. Next Monday, speeches will be held at the morning flagpole assembly, and voting will take place immediately afterward. We are very impressed with the high numbers of candidates, especially from the incoming 5th grade class who are eager to become part of ASB.
To celebrate the end of a productive year, the ASB is holding an end of the year potluck party at Hardy Park. Nicole's mom is making churro cheesecake and caramel flan, so we are very excited. Thanks, as always, for your time.
Are there any questions for our presenters today?
No.
Rhea, you are going to Morro Bay next year, right? Rhea brings a great, unique perspective. So she actually attended another middle school that it will remain unnamed for 2 years, and then came to us for her 8th grade year. And so we really had the joys of seeing her in sports, in her classroom shine, and then also, of course, on the stage. So we were really lucky to have her. And from her quote she said last week, "I just wish that I would have come here earlier because I love the school," which is really lovely. And we love having you. So we wish you very much the luck. And Lillian is one of our rising leaders in middle school, also on the stage and in sports. And you guys will see a lot of her over the next 2 years for sure. Thank you so much
Thank
for a
you.
great
Yeah.
presentation.
Thank you.
All right, 6.2 PTA. Thank you guys for coming. Good night.
Where are you guys going? I don't know if this is the last time I'm going to be up here as president of the PTA, but if I'm invited back next month to present, I'm happy to recap the year. But if this is my recap, I think it was a really good year for the PTA. I don't know if you've already talked about the donation we made from, you haven't, so,
Later on the
okay.
agenda, but you can
I
spoil
won't
it.
spoil it. We approved $31,000 from the gala to be donated straight to the school for the lower field renovation. So
That's incredible.
that's a done deal. We might have $100 left over that we're going to be putting on a banner to congratulate and thank our wonderful sponsors that helped keep our costs low and contributed so many things that we could auction off for a nice profit. And we were happy to do that. It was a lot of work, as I think I mentioned last month. So we also had record donations come in from the Kaikas Turkey Trot, which contributed another $7,000 toward that same cause, the lower field renovation. Financially, that leaves the PTA currently at just under 20,000 after all checks have been cashed. But we do have one of our best, most reliable fundraisers coming up at the end of this month, which is the fun run for the kids, where they're going to go out and get sponsorships from their friends and family and run all morning long. And through pledges, we can count on a nice boost from that as well. So that should bring our coffers up a little bit more to cover anything over the summer, like field trips and whatever, and it leads us into a good, strong beginning for next year. So there's going to be a new president, new vice president, a couple of new vice presidents, and a new secretary coming in next year. It looks like a great team with brand new ideas. They'll be sharing them up here on this podium. And I have a lot of confidence and faith that they're going to improve on what we've done this year. And I'm really proud of what we did this year. So thank you to all. And if you have any questions about the PTA or anything else, I'm happy to take a stab at it.
So we have a card from you from the board, a small little gift card in here and a pin for you. John has done a tremendous job this last year He has been our Falcon, our Easter Bunny, our substitute teacher, our PTA president, an amazing dad, and Lions Club and community member. So he is a very busy man, but always comes to the school with a very kind heart, patience, and listens to feedback. And I have thoroughly enjoyed it, and he promises he'll still be very much involved. He
Absolutely.
stuck with us for a very long time. Youngest kiddo is in TK.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Oh, yeah.
we'll see him back in this, I know, and again, so. thank
Definitely
you, Ed.
stuck. Thank you. I was not Easter Bunny this past go around. I passed the mantle, but we'll leave that person anonymous. He may or may not be
Original
here.
Easter Bunny.
Yeah. He may or may not be here.
Alrighty, next up, 6.3 employees of the year. Take it away, Jen.
Okay. So we have a big crowd tonight, which is great because we are honoring two amazing employees of the year. Quite a bit of slant here. So first, if I could have Elizabeth Howell join me to my right. We can all clap. All right. We are proud to announce Elizabeth Howell as our 2025 Classified Employee of the Year for her outstanding service and dedication to Cayucas School District. For the past 4 years, Elizabeth has served as a paraeducator, also substitute teacher, and has become an invaluable part of our school community. Elizabeth is known for her fairness, intentionality, and thoughtfulness in all that she does. She brings a deep sense of care and professionalism to her work, always recognizing and honoring the unique strengths and needs of both staff and students. Elizabeth is not only reliable and consistent, but also deeply committed to creating a supportive and inclusive environment where everyone can thrive. Her ability to connect with individuals, her quiet strength, her unwavering excellence makes her truly deserving of this recognition. When we announced this a week ago on Monday, we talked about how Elizabeth actually makes everyone around her better. She has a high standard for behavior and commitment to students, and it makes all of us better. We would love for you to join us in congratulating Elizabeth Howell for all of her contributions and uplifting all of us here at Cayucas School. And the Board of Education has a small little gift in here for you as well. I think you will really like it. Microphone.
Okay, so I was surprised at the assembly, obviously, so I feel like I didn't say what I wanted to say. I'm really honored to be recognized by my colleagues, by everyone I work with. I came to work here during COVID. As a temporary job, I was working with the middle schoolers since when they were not doing what they were supposed to at home, they came here to have to do what they were supposed to. Anyway, it was a great job and I was lucky enough to get a full-time position here, well, as a part-time person. But I just feel really lucky to work here. It's an amazing school. I get to know the kids really well. And I am hard on the kids, but I love them a lot. And I really do want them to reach their potential. So I'm really fortunate to work here. And hopefully I keep loving my job here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Right. Next, if I could have Sarah Brown, please join me. Okay. Cayucas School is proud to announce Sarah Brown as our 2025 Teacher of the Year. For the past 12 years, Sarah has been a cornerstone of our school community. She is known, and these are the words that were used to describe her, from multiple nominations from her colleagues, for her kindness, creativity, and unwavering reliability. There is something in consistency and reliability that really brings out the learning environment for students, especially at the young age she teaches, which is first grade.
As a first grade teacher, she brings learning to life through imaginative projects and themed lessons which capture the hearts and minds of her students. Earlier this year, some of you saw pictures of this. I talk about it all the time wherever I go. She transformed her entire classroom into a campground. Every desk was a tent. They had s'mores, they did fishing, all with the themes of learning sounds, symbols, addition, subtraction, stories, literacy. It was absolutely amazing. It was one of those magical, memorable experiences that kids will remember for as long as they live. And that sounds like an extreme, but it's absolutely true. Miss Brown is not only a dynamic educator, but also a consistent and fair leader on this campus who sets a strong example for students and staff alike. Her dedication to her craft and the Cayucas community is deeply appreciated by her colleagues who admire her warmth and thoughtfulness and professionalism. If Miss Brown has an issue, she thinks about it. She always presents it in a professional and calm way and seeks a solution that is best for students and the staff it involves. Congratulations to Miss Brown on this well-deserved recognition. We are so incredibly fortunate to have her at Cayucas School. Your 2025 Teacher of the Year, Sarah Brown.
I'm incredibly, microphone, sorry. I'm incredibly honored and humbled to be recognized as Teacher of the Year. I feel truly blessed to have spent the last 12 years as part of the Cayucas Elementary family, and it's been such a joy to grow alongside the school community, connecting with amazing colleagues and building lasting relationships with our students and their families. I'm thankful to all of my colleagues, both past and present, for their support, collaboration, and for the inspiration that they bring. I also want to take a moment to thank my former teachers whose dedication, guidance, and support laid the foundation for everything I do today. I also want to sincerely thank Dr. Brescia for hiring me and recognizing something in me all those years ago. I'm also very grateful to the 6 superintendents and principals I've worked under. Each one has helped shape and support my journey as an educator. To my parents, Danny and Janice Davis, thank you for always believing in me and supporting my dream of becoming a teacher. Your love and encouragement have meant everything. And to my husband, Jeffrey, you've worn many hats, sometimes literally, whether dressing up as characters for my classroom, jumping on board with new ideas, or going on wild goose chases for just the right materials. Your support makes all this possible. So thank you so much for this incredible honor, and I'm so proud to be part of this community. Thank you.
And Liz, will you do us a big favor with all these lovely people? Could you do a picture outside? It also gives you a great opportunity to exit, although I'm sure you would be incredibly enthralled to be here for the next hour or so at our board meeting. You can always come back after the picture, of course. But if Liz, could you take a couple for us? Thank you so much. And congratulations to our Employees of the Year.
That was a great exit. Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, that was perfect.
So this is, no, I just haven't written them yet. I was just gonna keep writing. That's hysterical. That was nice.
Yeah.
All right, 7.1, board member reports. Who would like to go first?
So, I did get it. I would think. Yeah. So I did get a DJ the spring dance. It was very exciting and fun. And I have to say thank you to my daughter for allowing
Really great. That's a real compliment.
Yes, because I did leave it up to her. Overstep my bounds. But yeah, it was great. What do we have, back to, or no, open house?
Yeah.
Yeah, open house, all the recognitions to the teachers past. Thinking of everything, it's been a busy time. But that was lovely, Jen. Like, the teachers really felt recognized, and it was heartwarming to see the whole community there. You're speaking. That's all I have.
I went to open house and Peace Day, and I agree with Daniel that it was the ceremony to recognize our community members and our former instructors was really, really touching. And it really made me feel proud to be part of this organization. We have had some really incredible people involved in the school in the past and continue to do so, as evidenced with our employees of the year this year. I also went to Peace Day, which I always love, and it was great to see the kids recognized for their efforts to make the world a better place. Oh, yeah. Oh, okay. And then I participated in going back to Coast, where we had a few days of really intense lectures regarding the state of politics and the state of education in the US and in California in particular. And we also were able to meet with Salud Carbajal, our congressman, which I think was really, and I know we're going to be discussing that more. So, yeah. And then I went to the CCAC meeting. Is this the CCA? I always get those wrong. Meeting last week, and advised the community on what's happening here at Cayucas Elementary.
I went to the Education Foundation and the CESD partner recognition as well. And I will say, I was impressed with all of them, but the most memorable one was when we were honoring Donna Dawson and she cried. It was just amazing. It's like, you do so much for us and we're thanking you. And then it was just kind of cool to see that excitement in her, and that just really moved me. I like that. The seventh graders had a great dinner. That was delicious. And I also went to Coast, and we're going to talk about it some more. So we'll leave it at that. Peter, Chris?
No, I was gonna say I attended CCAC via proxy because Gretchen attended for me. No, I don't have it.
Of course.
I do want to add, like, Roberta and Jeff and the seventh grade dinner was phenomenal. Thank them for that fundraiser. For the seventh grade.
Was delicious.
And if the PTA wants to raise some money, maybe they should auction off the coleslaw recipe from that.
It was weirdly good. I will say that. And I'm not even a coleslaw fan.
Oh, I'm
but
a
I liked it.
coleslaw fan, and I have really high standards when it comes to coleslaw, and that was amazing. Oh,
Oh,
was
it was?
Sandy
Yeah.
Wood?
I thought Amy made it.
It was great.
All right. 7.2 superintendent's report.
Okay, I will go quickly. We're gonna start with something incredibly big. And if you follow us on social media, you know this already, but our safety committee out of the entire county, little old Cayucas became, instead of the best little beach school, the safest little beach school. So we won the county award. And that comes from having obviously a safe work environment, so you can't have a lot of accidents. An active community, talking about safety, workman's comp, wellness of your employees, incentive programs, and creative ways to spend the grant monies in which we get. And they really love the fact that we redid our teacher supply room over spring break. So I want to thank Manny, Ben, and Martin. And then Melanie and Mary and I did the organizing and ordering and organizing even more of that room. It looks absolutely lovely. It looks like a little room out of Pottery Barn now, and it was like kind of a haunted storage room. On cue with the birds before that. So that was great. And it was really awesome. I also want to thank Sarah Johnson and Martin for accepting the award on behalf of the district that day. We did have Teacher and Staff Appreciation Week, as we do it every time in May. It's either the first or second week in May, depending on what a school district decides to celebrate. And our PTA, CEF, and our leaders celebrated all of our staff by providing meals each and every day, coffees, refreshing drinks, and Chrissy Rhodes, who is the PTA committee lead in that, did an absolute lovely job. I mean, she really went above and beyond to make the staff feel special and appreciated. Our families as well give individual personalized gifts, whether that's fruits or vegetables, or, you know, something like a personalized igloo that was awesome that said cool teachers supplies, or whatever it may be. Really thoughtful, wonderful things, actually. So with all of that, we did have, I know I was thinking about at the end of the month why I was so incredibly tired, but we had our coast to coast trip, we had Peace Day, we had spring break, we started our state testing.
Mock interviews
and
too, right?
I did all of our 8th grade mock interviews. So every 8th grader presented with community members, their cover letters, their resumes, and a 10 to 15-minute interview with strangers they don't know. So anywhere from 2 to 3 panel members. They did the best job yet. So this is our 3rd year of mock interviews, and it was so impressive, really so impressive. Our community members were blown away that these were only 8th graders presenting. So at times we think of the smallness of Cayucas and like the things that maybe we aren't able to do because we don't have a big school. But I really think it's the opportunity to personalize and uniquely design their education. And that's really what your students are getting here. A quick couple other things that are coming up of note. We are doing our annual volunteer tea on May 28th. And that is to thank all these wonderful volunteers. Invitations went out, the staff selects people, and then we treat them to some wonderful student performances, a lovely decorated multi-purpose room, and some homemade food from our staff. We are having an Italian soda bar that day too, as a special. It kind of ties into the theme and also the gift they get that day for helping make Cayucas amazing. Next week, we also are having our speech contest. So Jessica Peterson, the English language arts teacher extraordinaire, as you all know, have been prepping our students 6th, 7th, and 8th grade for public speaking. This is in partnership with our local Rotary, and they are in the prelims right now. Liz is one of the judges. We won't ask you any tough questions, but she was blown away this morning. She goes back to tomorrow for the finals in 8th grade, and then the 6th and 7th are also happening. The top 3 of each grade level will then go to the community Rotary judges and present in front of them. There's usually about 25 people in the room, and they do a tremendous job. I think my favorite is always the argumentative 8th grade topic. So they can pick almost any topic they want and argue a point of it, but they also have to have counterpoints and all of this. So it's really, again, that transition and preparation for college and career readiness and launching them into a flawless high school transition. So that is what's happening there. Very quickly, we will talk coast to coast and shortly. We want to thank CEF for their partnership in being able to cherish and celebrate community member partners and previous employees. So it was a lovely, lovely day. And I felt very humbled to be able to speak about the individuals who have dedicated decades. When you look at all of them together, over 150 years of service with Cayucas School between the 5 candidates. That's amazing. Then we topped off that same very night with the talent show. And boy, there was some fun talent. Really fun things like being able to say the alphabet backwards to string tricks, to singing, beautiful singers, to lots of fun dancers as well, a pianist, and of course, stand-up comedians, which are
I wish it was
so fun.
recorded.
I know, it's so fun. But anyway, and drummers, don't forget our drummers. So it was a really packed April. As you know, we're going into our last 15 days of school. That's it. So 15 days of school, make sure that you have the graduation down. It is on a Wednesday. It is not in conflict with local graduations, and it's really nice to do that Wednesday. The kindergarten graduation is during the day. It is pretty packed in that room. Of course, you're always welcome to attend anything at our school, but it is a pretty tight pack. So we ask observers to kind of stand in the back and let the seats be for families. And then our graduation's at 6 p.m. sharp. You will be on stage. So you'll want to do your nice attire, but you will be on stage shaking all of the hands of our lovely 8th graders, 19, Magic 19, 8th graders that will be promoting into our various high schools in our surrounding area. Okay, and I think I'll end with that for our superintendent report.
Alrighty, next up, 7.3, Coast to Coast.
Okay, so I'll just give kind of the big picture and then anything that President Friend and Clerk Ross would like to add to it. We went to Coast. It is put on by the California School Board Association in partnership with what's called ACSA, which is the Association of California Administrators. And so the goal here is to really rally around public education. I think, and I was wondering about how this would happen, honestly, in a world that we're at now where there seems to be a lot of divide. I thought they did a beautiful job around nonpartisan or bipartisan representation on public education issues. There were focuses on funding of special education, looking at cybersecurity and the unique aspect of public schools being a great target for people. Being in our own county office 2 years ago, being one of them that was hacked, and really asking for more assistance in that area, knowing that schools have limits to their expertise in these more complex issues around cybersecurity. We also talked about other federal issues around funding of rural school districts in California. There's a federal act that helps fund rural schools across the federal government. And that some of that funding is in jeopardy. And although people go, okay, well, we don't get any of that funding or whatever it may be, there's only a pot of money. So if that money goes away for rural schools, they're still going to have to run through a county office, which then means the county office funds that then fund other things for other schools is all crunched together. So they did a beautiful job. I would say of all of it, my favorite speaker was a constitutional law professor. He did a great job in really looking at, he's from George Washington University. I keep thinking William & Mary, but George Washington University, and really looking at what's led us to the historical number of executive orders that have taken place. And he did it in a way that wasn't about blame or he liked him or didn't like him or anything around that, but that when you look at the balance between what we should have in our federal government, right, our judicial, legislative, and our executive branch, that there should be this lovely balance, and that his analysis of this is that this legislative void that has happened around our representatives and senators, regardless of party, and their kind of backseat of what it has grown in other areas then, because it's one piece of pie of power. And that's where you start to see this pendulum swing of, okay, well, you're not going to make laws around this or change anything or review it because you don't want your constituents to be mad or whatever the reason, then other people are going to that have the power to do that. And so you see this flux of what's happening here. It's really interesting. Yes, there's some turmoil around that, but more than anything, I felt the sentiment was around if we focus on what's important, which is our students, being able to safely educate our students, that we'll find a common middle ground that's going to be okay. And that, yes, it can be scary when you hear things like there might not be a Department of Education. What does that mean for X, Y, and Z? And that in strife sometimes comes a result that it may actually transform into something that's good for all. And that's part of weathering change, right? But that we keep our boots on the ground and focus on what's at hand. So I thank the board for sending myself and Gretchen and Carrie, and I'll defer to Gretchen and Carrie for any other comments regarding Coast to Coast.
Covered it pretty well.
I got a very clear understanding of, from his discussion, how we've gotten to where we are, with the federal government and I felt not quite as alarmed because, of everything that's going around and the noise and everything. And then also we had some pollsters who came in and they were discussing, and I don't know, I couldn't download their slides.
Okay, I'll see if I can.
I had technical difficulties. No. These pollsters did not take the polls. They were analyzing polling data. And it gave us a really broad view of how the United States as a whole feels about education and the divides that come between different political beliefs. And I came away from that feeling that pretty much when it comes to public education, that the United States is pretty united in that we want excellent education for our students. And which was really heartening to me to see that in poll data.
One thing I thought that was interesting though is they did poll the United States, and this was a California thing. They didn't disaggregate, they didn't have polls specific to California, but the trend was all over.
And also what was very interesting to me, and I'm probably gonna not do a great job of describing it, but they were, there was this one poll, well, how do you feel about education as a whole in this country? And, it's pretty negative. And how do you feel about education in your state? And it was kind of negative. And then how do you feel about education in your community? And it was, fairly negative. And how do you feel about your local school? And people across this country feel great about their local schools. And, and that was really, really heartening to me because I feel like people are really, really caring about the students in America and support their local schools.
Yeah, and there was times where there was board members, so there was about 340, I believe.
320.
Yeah, 320, okay, 320 board trustee members and superintendents really is what the vast majority was. Obviously, people wear different hats, like you could be a teacher in another district and a board member in another, but and there was some lively discussion around maybe what would be seen as a political difference, but it was done in a way that you would like to see discourse and conversation, right? So there's some good modeling around that as well. I would say was one exception and one breakout that got a little heated, but that's life too. But I mean, it was really compared to even some local school board meetings. So overall, I think the impact, we talked about this last year too, is there is a part of this that looks at our responsibility as board members or superintendent to advocate for public education, to be a spokesperson for what we believe in. And that's why you're on the board. It's why I do what I do for a profession. And that's that people will prosper, different walks of life, different socioeconomic classes, different ethnicities will prosper if put in an educational setting that's safe and they learn from each other from a highly qualified teacher. And that's what we're fighting for, right? And that's why we do what we do, I believe. And it puts that into perspective at such a great level.
One thing too that I was impressed on was, okay, you go to coast, big deal, whatever. Now you come back to your district, don't let that be the only time you communicate with our representatives. Keep that relationship going, whether it's a quick note, hey, thanks for visiting coast to coast. And then maybe a month later, hey, remember me, Cayugas, blah, blah, blah. So you want to keep communicating with them enough. So if something comes up, hey, who's that education person I was talking to, that they would contact us for an opinion, but not to let coast to coast be the one and only contact until next year.
And who'd you meet?
Carbajal.
Yeah. And to be honest with you, for me, I would feel more comfortable since our meeting with Carbajal contacting his office if there was any sort of issue that came up.
Well, you did serenade him, so.
Oh, I did.
They're gonna start blocking you.
Yeah.
It's bugging me.
No, No, there was a very strong connection. He spent a lot of time, a lot of thoughtful conversations. So there is power in numbers. We had Ventura County with us as well. So we weren't just little old Cayucas.
And also Paso.
Yep, and Paso Robles as well. And so it was really thoughtful discourse with Salute Carvajal for sure. Yep. So thank you. Yeah.
All right, 7.4, discussion on California property tax system.
The topic everyone's been waiting for. So we did bring this up at our last board meeting. We tabled it, and Jenny from the County Office of Education, our fiscal agent, is here as well. She's done some great outreach. Sometimes things just work out. So Jenny had back and forth conversation with the County of San Luis Obispo tax department and specifically property tax. And then I was at a superintendent meeting, a chief business officer meeting, it's all the hats, the Friday of spring break. And they had the two leads from the department presenting on just trends in property tax. So as they walked out, I met with them and asked them some of our questions that Jenny had also asked a colleague of theirs. The kind of funny part about that is they said, I really need to talk to my colleague. She's the expert. And so then I said, oh, so-and-so. And they're like, how did you know her name? And it was because Jenny had been emailing back and forth with them.
Nice.
Yeah. So the major questions that arose over the last month or so, 6 weeks was, how was this decided? We know that now that back in 1978 or like right before 1978, as they distributed different areas under Prop 13 to look at how we help fund school districts. They created these TRAs or tax rate areas. Yeah. With that, there was a distribution of percentages of monies that would go to the different school districts within those areas. Or adjacent to those areas as well, or in our case, component district of, we're a component district of an adjacent school district. The interesting part about this, both the gentleman I spoke to and the contact Jenny has had, there isn't a way to change these percentages and distributions. In fact, they gave a great example of what they do. So they're at the county level, and at times you have county and city projects, right? And they're right on the line in San Luis Obispo. It's less here because we're unincorporated, but in the city of San Luis, a great example is this. There's a road that starts out as a city road. It goes into the county. It needs to be repaved. Do they actually stop at the line, or do they actually do a project all the way through? So what they do is, we hope they do a project all the way through. And maybe sometimes not every city is like this if they don't have a good relationship between the two agencies. But what they will do at times is do a memorandum of understanding with an end date and a start date that says, hey, we're going to take this massive project on. It's half yours, it's half ours. So over this duration of this agreement, we are going to funnel X number percentage of dollars around these property tax to your agency. It doesn't change the TRA. The TRA still might be, like in our case, 60% here and 40% or 39% to the north. But for that duration, they know at the county level that money will then be adjusted because of the project. So I tell you this long kind of drawn out story because their only advice to us that they can figure out, and they, this is their job. And Jenny, if you found out anything else, please jump all the way in because I'm drowning. No, I'm just kidding. Jump all the way in. But is that if there was an agreement, so if we had a project where we were building a gym and we didn't have a bond, or if we did an independent study program that then catered to K-12 and not just K-8, or just something like whatever it was, there was something that said, hey, we have this project that we're now servicing a need of yours. We believe an MOU is in order for us for this duration of time to receive a greater percentage of that money. They also said, as Jenny confirmed last board meeting, that even though in our minds, being school driven and enrollment driven, that the number of students, the grade level spans, all of those other things don't determine. Because I said to them, of course, hey, back in 1978 and the decades after that, we had a really different population happening, and not necessarily in Cayucas, although there was some, areas, but we've been pretty steady, if not lower than that 200 range, right? There was a long time ago, it was a bigger number, but then really in the last few decades, 3, 4 decades. We've been roughly around that, if not a little lower. Where you've seen a decline on our neighbors to the north of us. So they were at, when this tax rate area was developed, they were closer to 1,000 kiddos, and we were still like 300-ish. And then we saw this things flutter out. Now they're at 460-ish as a district. We're at 200. So there's this gap that happened. So in my mind, I'm like, hey, doesn't this kind of trigger that? They said, no, the population and number of students does not do that. It would really be around a significant offering difference that has occurred within your area. And they gave the road example as that. So
So is that sort of, and I'm not sure exactly what the MOU was back when Leffingwell was built, but I do know that we funneled some.
Oh.
I don't know.
interesting. Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
I was just kind of.
That's really interesting. No.
And I don't know exactly how that worked,
Huh.
if that was developer fees or something. I know it's probably in our minutes someplace.
Yeah, that's really
but-
interesting. Yeah. Yeah, I'm not sure, but that is a really, yeah, that would be a connected comment. I could see that. Jenny, anything else you think that, okay. Yeah, so that's kind of where we're at with this. This is an information item. I'm not really sure where the board would like to go from here. That's all the information I have in it. And, I don't have any recommended action at this time or a future agenda item related to it.
So basically, as I'm understanding, the tax rate area allocations are pretty much set in stone from 1978.
From folklore almost. It
Yes.
really, I mean, I was like, oh, okay. Sorry, that is not an official comment.
And as far as we know, there's no way to change,
Except for
except through memorandum of understandings.
local agreements.
Yeah. That would be, Dawn Addis.
Change our compliant district, but that's,
Yeah, I mean,
all right, well, thank you for all that work.
Yeah.
thank you for all that work.
I like
And maybe
learning
at some
new things.
point in time, we will have questions, and so we
Yeah.
can have this put back on the agenda.
Thank you.
Gretchen may have.
I have a lot of questions. I
I know
do.
it's really interesting. This is like, I would say, I liken this to leaves, Leaves, leaves in HR. So human resources, leaves are the worst thing because you're like, why does this leave happen? And there's all these parameters, and is it, state or federal, and there's all these things related to it. That's how all of these people, when you ask them about it, they're like, oh my God.
So is this-
TRAs,
So is this state or is this county?
state?
So this is state.
Yeah, through Prop 13, which is through the
Prop
state.
13.
Yep.
And these were, I assume, because I know there's other agencies that receive money, like the library is their own, is on its own because it's separate from the regular county budget. And I can't remember, but there's a whole bunch of other different agencies that.
What'd you say?
Fire department,
Yeah.
right, yeah. So, this is, it's a really complex issue and, actually, I think this kind of answers a lot of questions and, I think I will have more questions when I think this over some more. So sorry to be bringing all of this up again.
Interesting.
No. If you take all of the monies that are divided up from our property tax dollars, from the Cayucas TRAs, tax rate areas, the funds that go to Cayucas Elementary School District are, what is it, 60.7%? Almost 60? Almost 61. So about 61% goes to Cayucas Elementary School District, and the other 39% goes to Coast up in Cambria. And so the question is my question was with that, is this the fair and equitable division of property tax dollars?
According to this, it doesn't matter. That's.
And according to this, it doesn't matter whether or not it's fair and equitable.
And what it does do, though, is it does give a cushion, for lack of a better word, to Coast
in which they provide hundreds of thousands of dollars of payment for all of the Cayuga students who now attend San Luis Coastal at Morro Bay High or San Luis High. So there's through our local MOU, which is obviously different, doesn't change anything about this TRA, but what they are able to do because there's money that is exchanged now when they attend their schools, and it's a hefty bill.
We'll save it for our kids, yeah,
Yeah,
It goes
so.
all the way.
Well, it only for us, it's middle school. So we are only paying out at middle school level, but there's a lot of exchange that's occurring in the hundreds of thousands of dollars. I believe the estimate last year was $800,000. So when you start to look at, there's this money that's generated, and it just doesn't seem equitable that our local area is giving this money to Coast. Well, they're not necessarily, because there is an exchange that then occurs and follows the students where they attend, which was that MOU that was created. Yeah. Which would be really hard to pay if they didn't have that. On a side note.
Still get a lot of money though, for a very few kids. All right, moving on to consent agenda. Anybody like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion that we approve the consent agenda.
Second it.
Any further discussion?
Just really quickly to note, we're projecting 201 next year for our students. So we should
Wow.
break the 200 mark, which means we're up 10% since the 2019-20 school year. So pre-COVID number. So there was a big dip after COVID at most districts in California. In fact, over 80% of districts in California are in declining enrollment from pre-COVID numbers. Some of them are climbing out. We're actually up 10% from our pre-COVID number.
Nice.
Yeah, great.
Any further discussion? Trustee Castillo,
Aye.
trustee Ross,
Aye.
trustee Friend,
Aye.
trustee Schuler, trustee Pewitt. Motion passes 5-0.
All right, action session, 9.1, approve and accept donations.
Staff recommends the approval of the following donations. $300 from Donna Dawson for our after-school program scholarship. And this is a continual donation.
Every month.
Almost, yeah. Cayucas Educational Foundation donated $1,000 for physical education equipment. And last but not least, the Cayucas PTA is donating $31,000 proceeds from the gala for the new play structure and lower field renovations. So staff recommends approval of the $34,300 in donations this month.
Any further discussion? Trustee Ross? Aye. Trustee Friend?
Aye.
Trustee Schuler? Trustee Pewitt? Trustee Castillo?
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0.
All right, 9.2, adopt board self-evaluation tool.
So Chris, do you want to lead this? I know how you feel about evaluation tools. No. We brought back the board. Now this is the board, everyone's hat. This is the board self-evaluation tool. There are two here. We were given a task to find out more information. So I'm going to give the microphone to Mary to talk about the evaluation. So we're down to two. We had three. And we have the crafted one that kind of mimics, it's a shorter version of the have a great night. That mimics in kind of a shorter version of the superintendent evaluation, but aligns to the CSBA standards. And then we have the actual CSBA tool that the board used quite a few years ago, and then the research around how they come in and help utilize that tool.
So after further research, we can get the CSBA tool for $300. And basically what that will do is just give you the tool. It won't bring anybody in to analyze it for you, but it gives you the tool, gives you the results. If you want someone to come in and facilitate the tool, analyze it, bring back the data to work with you, we are looking at, hold on, I forgot exact numbers here.
3,700 for one day, and 5,500 for 2 days.
Plus reasonable travel expenses. So you're looking at quite a bit larger chunk of money for that. That does include your resources, your training, your support. We're leaving it to the board, but those are the two. One is free, one is $300, one is with quite a bit more funding for the package. Any questions?
Emotions.
I'll make a motion.
Don't like that one.
Could you look at the $300 one?
It's attached too. So we have the old version of it. So there's a few updates. So Carrie had from way back when she was on the board. And Mary went through and whited out like the marks of it just because it, was actually used.
Maybe I didn't.
Oh, did we not
No,
attach
I
that
don't
one
think we
again?
attached it. We just,
I'm
No.
sorry, it was
sorry.
on the last board agenda. I apologize.
Okay, I didn't think.
I can bring you a copy.
No, that's all right.
Yeah, the one that we had attached last meeting was from 2016. Yeah,
Also, the ratings weren't on there too. It
right. There wasn't, you didn't give us a rating scale. It just had the
It
numbers
wasn't on
you
there,
put,
right.
right? So they wouldn't give us a sample.
Right, because again, you're not
'Cause-
supposed to.
Well, look and see if
Exactly.
There's a link to click on it.
No, you have to
No,
pay the
you have to pay
$300.
It's a little bit longer though. Remember, we looked at it last meeting.
I think it's about 40
More
questions.
questions. It's in thematic form. Yeah, there you go. There you have it.
Personally feel, well, we have a motion. I don't necessarily like the free one because, in my opinion, we weren't that successful in using that form to evaluate
Does it give you answers?
Jen.
Yeah.
So I
We
don't-
have to answer it.
those are the questions.
Those are the questions.
Well, then how do you,
See, this didn't have this doesn't have.
do you have to
You
write
can't
it
use
in there?
It's not touchscreen.
Oh. But does it have pull down answers or something?
No,
Then-
you're right.
Then how do you evaluate it altogether?
Well, that was actually
That's
what
what-
Pete's comment was. So that's why we went back and found out. So Pete says, can I paraphrase? Okay. Pete had said, well, hey, whatever you guys would like, Jen's the best. And no, I'm kidding. So Pete said, if we're going to use a tool, then we need to be able to have some data analysis so that you can see trends. What is it telling you? What is all this like
Right,
indicate?
that's what I mentioned.
Yeah.
This Tahoe one was not.
Right.
how you
So
aggregate that data.
that's what CSBA does is you guys all fill it out and then they take all your guys' remarks and says, hey, what we're seeing is, and they basically do that analysis and trend. That's what's costing the $3,000 to $6,000, $4,000 to $6,000 around that piece. But it was kind of that idea of, well, if we're going to do it, then shouldn't we get something out of it? Right. But I'm not
So the
advocating for
$300
that.
The $300 doesn't aggregate everything for us. We still have to aggregate it for ourselves.
It is my understanding that it's correct, that it
Okay.
gives you a PDF tool that you guys will be able to fill out. That is their tool, which is, obviously they had people that were experienced in writing that. And that then we would see through that, hey, everybody, you've ranked all these areas high. There's only 5 of you, but this is the low area. Let's write a goal. Let's talk about actions to improve that and what we can do.
So Carrie, if you don't like the free one, are you saying you're in favor of
I
paying
don't-
for this in 6?
Yeah. I mean, if we could have somebody else aggregate the data for us. Well, that's your opinion. I can have mine.
Well, that's right.
That makes sense.
In my opinion, it's a waste of.
I just don't think that we've been that successful at using that format. So I'm not.
I mean, there is the Goldilocks version of all this, which is that we could pay the $300 and get the tool, right? We can bring that tool back to you guys. You guys will look at it and say, are we all going to be able to look at this, rate it and say, hey, I could see some trends here within these questions, right? From the rating, since we actually see the current tool they're using for the $300. Or we might see it, pay the $300 and go, oh gosh, there's no way for us to interpret what's going to happen here. We're going to need to pay the additional money and have them come.
And you
That-
only get a limited amount of time.
Oh, it's
Right.
opened up. Yeah.
When it's open, you get a limited amount of time to complete it.
Again, I'm not, it's definitely up to you guys.
I'll just say my opinion. I'd be more in favor of doing that than spending the $300, trying it out. I guess I don't see what's lacking with us as a board that we need to spend thousands of dollars to evaluate. It just, given where, money would be better spent. school runs.
But I agree, like, I don't think we're in an impasse where we need someone to come in here and tell us like how we're working together, like. I think we work pretty cooperatively, I don't.
I think so. Carrie gets a little mad at me, but I think overall,
We'll
we're
agree to
working well
disagree on
together.
that one.
Yeah.
I think if we use the free tool and, you know, we commit to doing it and getting together and going through it together, I think if we can figure out a way to aggregate it, the information together, where we have access it, not be handed something that is aggregated, I think that could be a really positive tool. I don't, if we're gonna have somebody aggregate the information and come back to us and talk about trends and la, 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 I think it'd be, you know, I think it would behoove us to pay the $3,300 plus travel expenses and all that. But I don't think I'm not comfortable spending that quite a bit, that amount of money at this point in time. But I think if we commit to using the tool and then coming together to aggregate it together as a group, I think that could be really a positive.
Were you saying the $300, we have limited time to use?
Correct.
Oh,
They
really?
give you, they give you like.
They give you a window.
Oh,
I think,
really?
to
Yeah.
actually open it and do it,
Why?
because.
You'll
they-
copy it?
Probably.
It's not-
Yeah.
I think they give you 30 days, but
30 days?
yeah, they don't leave it open forever, so you can make copies and share it with the next
And
board.
before, when you did it, did they come in to discuss it, or did you guys?
Our board was not functional, so yes, we had to come in.
And I'm
Okay.
sure that the pricing has increased significantly since 2016.
My concern with the board self-evaluation, again, I think more important on this one, as opposed to the superintendent one, there would need to be board comments, because we're not, Jen gave us a list of, oh, these are all the things I'm doing. We're gonna have to come up with that ourselves, so.
Oh, Jen's not gonna do that for me?
But just clicking comments, excellent, exceeds, whatever, to me, is not helpful to us as a board, as a self-evaluation.
What do you think's lacking that we need that? That
There's
much
just-
analysis.
Just clicking a
Well,
because it says why, like board member comments, like, you know, on all these categories.
No, but what you're trying to get out of it, what's lacking with us as a board?
I think I think as a board right now, we work pretty well together. So I think whatever tool we use, I think we'll come out and say that, but as a tool, just to click a box and not have any more thoughtful comments on there is like, why are you saying we're excellent or exceeds or doesn't exceed? Cause I could do that in 2 seconds.
Well, I think,
Quickly go in and
what I type in there, like, I haven't got up and thrown a chair at anyone, so. I
Yeah,
think
well,
exceeding
if
in-
that's-
in the,
if that's the standard, you
I
know?
mean, we're not like openly fighting, like, I
Right.
mean,
Oh, no, no, no.
Great.
Well,
It's
part of,
part of
I mean, it is part of,
we're seeing some of the other.
yeah, but I believe we, in our, bylaws, we are to do this once a year. So, and,
Strike. Let's change the bylaw.
I think it's
Yeah.
just, I think it's just a good
Oh.
way to be,
That was-
to, I think, you know, at some point in time, there could come a time where we have issues that we all disagree. And, maybe circumstances happen where things get chaotic. And I think this will help us build communication with one another, not saying that we have poor communication now, but I think we, you know, things, I mean, most of us have been married at some point in time, and we know that, you know, you continually have to work on your communication. It's, you know, it's not something that you figure out in your first 2 years of marriage and keep going forward as
But
things
it's,
work.
it's really about, are we doing what we're supposed to be
Yeah.
doing?
Do we review district policies? Do we use data to inform decision-making, monitor progress toward district goals?
Yeah, I personally think we could do the free one and we do it all together and we have a discussion again. And we go over each point. Are we doing, you know, regular review and update district policies?
So
Ensure
then
they're
would
current
that-
and effective.
Would that be a study session then?
I think
it
we
is-
have this as a study session on the
so-
books, don't we?
I don't
Or
think
no?
so.
Board goals, I believe, are.
the next study session in September. And does that include, it can't, so we could do it,
How we do it right from.
I'm voting no on this one, so it doesn't matter.
Okay, we gotta get wrapped up.
So there's a motion and a second on the floor to adopt the pre-evaluation. So when the board members are ready, we vote to see if there's a consensus on that, or if we should open the floor to a second nominate, or a second motion.
are we ready for a vote?
Sure.
Okay.
We dig in and questions of the evaluation or relevant to our board. Okay.
Shall we take a vote?
Yeah.
All right. Trustee Friend,
No.
trustee Schuler,
You second.
I'll say yeah.
trustee Pewitt,
Yes.
trustee Castillo,
Aye.
trustee Ross. Aye. Motion passes 4-1.
9.3, project description, playground equipment removal and site prep for lower field play structure at Cayuga School.
Great. So as what's attached here is the local bid. We did receive another bid, obviously in the general geographical area. This is the lowest bid we had regarding the removal of the play structure. That's high. That's one of the reasons is because there's a donated work from two local contractors. That would be Sean O'Shea and Charlie Hartzell. They are doing the free part of that now, but the curb, if approved tonight, would be poured on Monday. So that increases the total amount for the play structure install to 142,000. So we already approved 122,000. This is that last kind of chunk that we knew was coming. I did want to note that we have received $136,000 in donations. And the total cost of just the play structure is 142. We have $25,000 of after-school program budgeted. And that is also though for the leveling of that grass area and additional, I'm gonna say resurfacing help to the softball field. And then I would believe training for our staff to maintain that because we've done that in the past and unfortunately that didn't keep with the maintenance of it. In fact, a year ago today, and it looks like it hasn't been done in a long time. So we've got to figure out something about that softball field so that we're not always back at it. But really a deep rototill of the grass that will turn over that sort of level the field. We had like many people in this area, they say it's a cycle because of the 2 to 3 years of heavy rain, a rodent squirrel infestation down there that created a lot of potholes. So a real redig of that will be important and great. We're looking at June 30 as the actual finished product, and then a ribbon cutting to be announced when we decide upon that. We can talk about that maybe at our second board meeting in June about what day we want to do the ribbon cutting, because we should have a good picture of the completion date. So staff recommends approval of this aspect of the project, which is the bid for the curb install grading of that so that it's a ADA accessible area for the play structure.
Make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Any further discussion?
Trustee Schuler,
Aye.
trustee Pewitt,
Aye.
trustee Castillo,
Aye.
trustee Ross,
Aye.
trustee Friend.
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0.
Resolution, or 9.4, resolution number 2502, appreciation of Cayugas Elementary School District employees.
This is a nice one. So in the month of May, we know it's Staff Recognition Month. It's the Day of the Teacher. Is usually the second Wednesday in May, or is it the first Wednesday in May? First Wednesday in May. Just felt late. It felt late this year as the calendar was. And so we have a resolution that we would like the board to approve, which basically formally thanks and recognizes the work of our employees. With this, we would make a nice little document and then give that to our board, our employees in recognition of their work. So staff does recommend, we usually do roll call vote, so we'll need to do a roll call vote on a resolution, but recommend approval of the resolution and looking at staff appreciation and recognition of our educators.
I make a motion to approve resolution number 25-02.
Any further discussion? Trustee Pewitt? Trustee Castillo?
Aye.
Trustee Ross? Aye. Trustee Friend? Aye. Trustee Schuler? Motion passes 5-0.
10.5, superintendent evaluation. Here it is, we talked about it in close, here it is again, if there's, we need a motion on this one to accept it.
I make a motion to accept the excellent superintendent evaluation for the year 2024-25.
Second.
It was Gretchen to Carrie.
Any further discussion?
No.
Trustee Castillo?
Aye.
Trustee Ross? Aye. Trustee Friend?
Aye.
Trustee Schuler? Trustee Pewitt? Motion passes 5-0.
9.6, revised superintendent contract 25-28.
So thank you for the evaluation. I appreciate the feedback. It is my honor and privilege to serve as your superintendent. I've had wonderful jobs in education, and I think next to being a literacy teacher, this is my favorite job ever. And I've loved every job I have. It's a sickness, but I do love my work here and feel very honored. In front of you, I have my contract. There are no raises within the contract. So what it is just some quick revisions around learning my job. It's my third year, and recommendations from basically AXA organization for administrators. So I'll highlight those changes though. The document has, for anyone following in the public, in yellow highlights. So it really clearly shows you any changes. So the changes have to do with work year. It's not that I'm trying to work less. It's just that the way it was formatted before talked about a 260 year, even though you were only working a certain number of days. And so it cleans up that language to make it a little bit more clear about the days I work, which is really year round, whenever you need me to. But officially it is, let me get it in front of me here. 225 work days, which is a full year for a certificated manager. It does have vacation days that can be spurred out because those would be included, and of course the holidays, which were closed. So it looks at those. It does articulate the language that I'm not going to carry over those work that vacation days for extended balances, so that if and when I retire, I don't have like 900 vacation days you're going to pay out. So there's limits in that. So it's not a liability for the district financially, which is great. Carrie, you did note, which I appreciated, around the 2022 payroll. That was the original on the revision. And I didn't change that because that section was done in that installment, but I agree with you. It would be a note to have that really starting in July 2025, but it's not changing any financial aspect of it. It does have the post retiree health benefits. So not being savvy on my first contract, this was not a section in it, but it basically looks at every superintendent having health benefits when they retire. You don't get greater benefits than a teacher would get. So it's not like I get some other package the teachers get. I get the same availability of that. The difference is, and so all transparency, the difference is in my contract here and in most superintendent contracts, there are terms of it that are a little different. And what I mean by that is, when I was a teacher, under a teacher contract, it would be like, oh, you have to be 57 years old and work 10 years in the district or 15 years in the district. And that qualifies you for retiree benefits. That's not going to be the same in a superintendent contract. The average life expectancy or the reign of a superintendent in California is between 18 months and 27 months. Good news, I'm above the curve. I'm going into 36 months already, which I'm super proud of. But obviously that means that every superintendent would take a job and never have available health benefits. So there always are little differences. This says after 5 full years of service that I'd be eligible for that. This is closing the 3rd year. So anything after that, if I were to retire, that would be the case. So
and this is upon retirement from the district.
from this district,
So
if I
if you-
took any other job, it is null and void. Yep.
100%. Thank you for clarifying that. And then lastly, if you were to turn the page, you see the 225 on the work year.
Mhm.
There was actually an error on the last contract. Randomly, it said 235, which isn't even a typical contract. And is that it, Carrie? I believe that is it. Oh, no, important one. Sorry. First page, very important one. So there was some language in here and we've talked about this, not last year. Oh, no, I guess it was last year when I had an updated contract. November last year. So about a year and a half ago. The language here says, and I'm going to read it because it's important because you guys may want to change this, or table this section, or you can do whatever you'd like with it. Remember, I'm the worst negotiator for myself. It says here, in the event the superintendent receives a positive evaluation as determined by the board, the term of the agreement shall be extended by 1 year, subject to mutual agreement of any amended terms of this condition. So that's what we're actually doing right now. And then it says such extension shall occur automatically unless the board notifies the superintendent in writing within 30 days of the evaluation of its intent not to extend the term. So currently my contract ends 2028. Is that right? Yes, 2028. So there's 3 years on my contract. Basically this keeps a continuous 3-year contract unless the board then says, let's say it's down the road and the board says, I think 2 more years of Jen is just fine. You'd have my evaluation. It could still be positive, but within 30 days in writing, you would say, we're not going to do what's called an evergreen or extend it. So it still gives you all the power to do that. It just means that we don't have to continually renegotiate terms within it. So that's there. I think it does a better job describing that because before it had some elusive language around positive evaluation, then the board could elect and the superintendent could elect to extend, but it didn't give the parameters of that. So that's there. The extension shall maintain a continuous 3-year term of the agreement unless otherwise agreed upon in writing of both people. So if we were ever going to change that, we would agree in writing. So I wouldn't say staff, I would say the superintendent recommends approval of these changes and graciously accepts your positive evaluation.
Motion to accept the revised superintendent contract.
I'll second. Any further discussion?
So in the first term site where you have it there.
Yep.
The extension shall maintain a continuous 3-year term. Is that kind of standard that it would go 3 year, or is it like, could we have it like, since you already have a 3-year term, right? Or no?
Well, so the way it works then, so if we give her a positive evaluation, that means a year is up, right? Of the 3. So if she gets positive, then we're gonna add a year. So she'll always have a 3-year contract.
Okay.
Yep.
That's what, so it's not
Great way to describe it.
perfect. I wanted to understand it because it was like, oh, there's 3 more years.
No,
That's
it's
what
gonna, it just continually stay 3. You wipe out 1.
Not that we want you to go anywhere. I'm just trying to understand.
No, but maybe when you hit 87, we'll think that 2 more years will be fine. Any further discussion? Trustee Castillo?
Aye.
Trustee Ross? Aye. Trustee Friend?
Aye.
Trustee Schuler?
Aye.
Trustee Pewitt?
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0.
Section 10, review of action items, tasking and calendar.
All right, Gretchen, last safety meeting of the year. Are we having it or not?
I know it got canceled.
It got canceled. We met all our requirements and we are the committee of the year.
We are the champions.
Yes, we went out on a high note. You were
Don't have messed
excused.
it up.
I
from
don't
the
know. I
last-
love the safety meetings. They're a lot of fun.
Good job, Brett.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, it was added points in this whole evaluation is that we have a board member at every
Oh,
single
wow.
committee meeting.
Great
That's great.
job.
Yeah,
And
well, I
Val was
thank you. And
before-
Val was
yeah.
before
And
me.
he made all the meetings. Sometimes the wrong time, but made all the meetings.
I've been late a few times.
Board members are not scheduled to attend CCAC for June and July. That's a practice we did just because it's in conflict of graduation. And then you do get some time off, not having to come here. The June meetings we have are Tuesday.
Make sure you know this.
Both of them are Tuesday?
Yes, we just made them both Tuesday to make it a little less complex, and there are some limits around the budget and the public hearing of the
Third
budget.
and the
June
Right.
3rd, Tuesday, because graduation is Wednesday. So June 3rd is Tuesday, and then the 17th of June. So they'll have the public hearing of the budget. It'll be LCAP and budget, basically only for both of those. Unless anything, some business comes up, but we do have our, as I said, 8th grade graduation on the 4th, which is at 6 p.m. So if you guys could come closer to 5:40, that would be great. Then I could go through all of the things that you're going to do, where you're going to stand, all of that, so you feel comfortable in front of the million people in our gym, 100 million people.
Standing room only.
Standing room only, which will be great. It will be a lovely, lovely ceremony like it always is. And then we have the kinder noted here too in the morning, which is great.
Just to let you know too, if anybody does want to go to the CCAC meeting, because our graduation is on the first Wednesday, they will be doing their meeting the following Wednesday. So if anybody really wants to come, feel free.
All right, anything else? Any future agenda items? Anyone? All right, we're adjourned.